Okay. Mic check 1 2 1 2. I am the Y2K collector, and I'm back just because I want to talk about something that's very exciting, and it's something that everyone has been talking about over the past few days, and that is the release of the Nintendo Switch, the OLED model. And I think this is a very exciting time for Switch collectors, for anyone who's been, buying games for the Switch. I think that this is a very exciting time because now we get to enjoy all of those amazing games on a much brighter and better backlit screen. And so I'm excited about that. But it does make me think about a few things. Obviously everyone's excited about the hardware. Obviously everyone's excited about the advancements with the new Switch. But this really makes me think about the overall lifespan of the Switch. And it makes me think, how much longer are they going to continue making games for the Switch? And what does a new Switch mean for new Switch owners and potentially new folks who are thinking about starting a gaming collection? And as I started to sit and think about all these things, I said, for anyone who never collected before or never collected video games, or if you're brand new to video game collecting, this is a very exciting time to start. And you could start with the OLED Switch. And the reason why I say that is because, buying that new Switch, you already have an amazing backlog of Switch games to actually go through. And you can kind of do some research and see how many amazing games have been released on the Switch. And depending on what your tastes are, if you like RPGs, racing games, action games, puzzle games, platforming games, the Switch is really home to a lot of everything. And so I think that that's very, very, very exciting. And so I can't wait to get my hands on an OLED Switch. I don't have one yet. Everywhere I've gone, they have been sold out. But I will be sharing that on the channel once I finally do get my hands on one, and we can talk about some of the differences. I'm not a Switch console collector. I only have two Switches, and that's my Switch Lite and my standard Switch. I think I have the Animal Crossing Switch, and so that's all I really got. But the games are great, and so I pulled 10 games out of my collection. I have a decent amount of Switch games, a couple hundred here, but I pulled out 10 that if I were starting, or if I had a friend that was going to buy a new OLED Switch and they said, "Hey Rob, what kind of games would you buy?" These are 10 games that I would buy for the OLED Switch, and I kind of wanted to share them with you here if you're thinking about getting them. Now, a lot of these games that I'm going to share, these are from the Switch backlog. A lot of these games came out at the beginning of the Switch life cycle. Some of these games came out maybe about a year or so ago. But I don't think that any of these games, with the exception of a few, are still in print. Some of them are still in print, but a lot of them are pretty much a part of the early stages of the Switch. So let's go ahead and get it kicked off here. First game that we're going to talk about is Gunvolt Striker Pack. And this is one of those compilation games. Here you get a couple games on one cartridge, and the Gunvolt series is basically like a revamped version of Mega Man. It's the Mega Man for this generation. Got a character, you got some weapons, it's side scrolling, running and gunning, and they did come out with the Luminous Avenger X for the Switch. I think these the games in the Striker Pack were on the Game Boy, if I'm not mistaken. Correct me down in the comments if I'm wrong. But this is a fun action game, and this is one that I would definitely look into if I was just getting a Switch. Graphically, I think this will play well on the OLED screen. Another game that I would definitely check out if I was just getting the new Switch, and this one is pretty cool. This one's straight out of Nintendo. This is Astral Chain. Astral Chain is a very fun action game, 3D, a kind of open world, but it's a fun game. It's one that I got when I had first gotten my Switch, and I didn't play too much of it. I actually downloaded it because I didn't want to open this version. But Astral Chain graphically is a great game, and this is another one that I think is going to show up really well on that new Switch OLED screen. So Astral Chain is an action game that I would get. And I did so much research into Astral Chain because I really wanted to get it. It's one of the first games that I got on the Switch, and then by the time I got it, I couldn't even get into it as much as I wanted to. But it is a very fun game. Next up, Owlboy. And this is one that I would definitely want to see on the OLED screen, just because of the 2D sprites. The graphics on this game is great. It's a very fun game, a fun adventure platformer game, side scroller, right? So this will take you right back to those 16-bit nostalgia days, and this is one that I would definitely want to see on that OLED screen. Next up, we're going to get into some other cool ones here. Here's one that I think is really fun. Ys Origin. Ys Origin is definitely a great game that I would recommend a new Switch owner look into. This is more of like an action RPG game, where you get like different items, and you kind of have to go through this castle and get to the different levels, and you fight different bosses, and there's underwater parts to this game. And Ys Origin is a really good game. And this is one, it's more of like a little bit more of a fast-paced RPG. And this is one that I would check out if I were to be diving into a new OLED Switch. That's one that I'd be getting there. Another recommendation that I would make is, of course, how can you own a Switch and not own Monster Boy, right? So Monster Boy is definitely one that I would recommend for someone who's just getting a new OLED Switch. This is a 2D game, but it's got more of that cartoony kind of artwork for it. But Monster Boy is great. It's a fun adventure platformer. You can transform into different animals. And this is just one that's a staple, I feel, for the Switch. This has been around for quite some time. I think they recently released a special edition version of Monster Boy. But for anyone who's getting into the Switch, Monster Boy is definitely one of those games that you want to look into. I'd recommend that as well. Here's one that I don't think is too old, but it's kind of old. We've actually gotten the next version of this, but I would recommend Ys 8. I know we recently got Ys 9, La Cremosa Dana. I think that's how you say it. But I like the colors of this Ys. I like the setting. You're on an island. You're fighting on an island. Ys 9 is a little bit more dark for me. This has a lot more of an adventurous feel to it. And, I'm all about the combos, special attacks, that hack and slash. I'm all about the hack and slash. And pretty much, Ys is pretty much a hacking and slashing RPG. So you kind of get the best of both worlds on that. And this is a very, very fun game. So I definitely recommend Ys 8. Recommend Ys 9 too, but Ys 8 is just kind of cool. And that one's a bit older. Here's another one that I would recommend, and I don't think I made it past maybe the 5th level or the 6th level, but Fury. If you are getting a new Switch, the OLED Switch, and you like action, you have to pick up a copy of Fury. Fury is a twin stick shooting, hacking and slashing, dashing and phasing. It's like you have all kinds of weapons, this main character, and it's pretty much a boss rush game. I couldn't get past this. One of the bosses in this game is he looks like Dalsim's grandfather in this game, and he's just very hard to beat because you kind of have to beat these bosses in phases. They all have different patterns, and you have to learn their attack patterns, but the game is pretty intuitive. Like the second you catch on, like it switches its pattern, and so you kind of constantly have to be on your feet. Your thumbs are going to hurt you. They're going to hate you rather. But I think that this is a very fun boss rush battle game. You do have like a gun. You have a charge up beam shot that you can, do damage with. You've got your sword. A lot of cool stuff here. So Fury is one that I would definitely check out if you're into action, fast-paced, like boss rush games. And again, the graphically, I feel like Fury would just look amazing on that new OLED screen. And this is definitely one that I would recommend for those who are going to be getting the new Switch. Here's another one. This is more of a shmup, and I've talked about this game a ton on this channel. You guys know how much I love Freedom Finger. This is just a very funny, comical shmup. The graphics are almost like a cartoon styled 2D graphics. And there goes your spaceship right there. There goes a ship. There's the finger, and those are your bullets. and you're kind of like just flying through space, just shooting things down with your pointer finger. And Freedom Fingers, it's a lot of fun. You know, the graphics kind of remind me of Sterling Binary Stars, but this is a great, fun, kind of funny shooter all on its own. And this is one that I would definitely recommend. Okay, and then next up, the next game that I would recommend, if you're just getting into the Switch, and some of these games are a little more mature, some of them are for everyone. This one is definitely more on the mature side, so I would definitely recommend for like any adults if you're thinking about getting a new Nintendo Switch to OLED. But this is one is definitely awesome. So Attack on Titan 2. This is adrenaline in a cartridge. I mean, just, you know, I didn't watch the cartoon series. I know that I think there's a anime series around this game that I was never really into, but I know just gameplay wise, and you know, you kind of like, you have these two grapples that you use to kind of glide across town, and you know, you're fighting these giants, and you know, it's a lot that's coming at you. It's basically a hack and slash type of game, but you're fighting giants, and it's pretty cool. It's one of those games where the more you play it, the better you get. This is one of those games where it's kind of all feel. So Attack on Titan 2, though, is a very fun game, and I would definitely recommend it for anyone thinking about jumping onto the new OLED Switch. And then last but not least here, this game I'd be doing, you know, I wouldn't be a good friend if I didn't recommend this to someone who is picking up a new Switch. And I've talked about this one on my channel as well, but River City Girls, you gotta get this. This is one of those games that I think is fun for kids, fun for adults. It's very funny. There's a little crude humor in this one. I don't know if this game should be rated E. I feel like this one should be rated teen or something. But anyway, I digress. River City Girls is an amazing 2D beat 'em up type game, but this is no ordinary beat 'em up. Not only do you have like your basic moves, you know, this isn't one of those like button mashing beat 'em ups. Each character, I think it's Suko or Miko. Suko, I can't remember, but both of these characters, they both have their own set of moves that you can unlock by purchasing the moves from the dojo. You get money by you know, attacking the enemies on screen. And whenever you beat, you know, someone down, you get to take the money that's in their pocket, and you can actually turn them into someone who fights for you. And I don't know if you've ever played like Marvel versus Capcom, the first one, but anyone who's played that game knows you used to have like that special character that you could call out and they do an attack and then get off the screen. Well, you can do that with the enemies that you fight. You can actually convert them, make them fight for you, and you can call them out to do their special move. And I think all those elements just make River City Girls one of the best beat 'em ups I've ever played outside of Streets of Rage 2. So this is definitely one that I would recommend to the new owners of the Switch. And those would be my 10 Switch games. I'm not saying those are the best 10 Switch games, but those are 10 Switch games that I think would give you a lot of fun over this holiday season. So that's definitely what I would recommend there. I want to turn real quick and just kind of go over 3 pickups that I've made so far in the fall. You know, it's been a very slow month. I've only had a few pickups so far, but I did get some gift cards and I did have some credits here. So I was able to pick up a few cool things that I wanted to add to my collection. And one of the first things that I wanted to get here, I'm gonna try to get this all on camera, but this is the Mario Circuit. Yes, so I got Mario Live Home Circuit. This is the big box here that you're seeing here, and I always wanted to get this in box. This is just very fun and it's very interesting. You know, the Mario Circuit game was a game that I had always wanted to add, along with some of the Labo and things like that. I think a lot of those games that are on the Switch, you know, they kind of remind me of like, you know, the stadium events or some of these older kind of quirky games that you used to see on the NES that probably no one cared for at the time, but then years down the road, they're like, you know, people are looking for them. And I think this Mario Live Circuit is just a really cool game. I can't wait to like kind of do some rearranging in the house to pop it out and give it a go. But I definitely wanted to get my hands on a copy of Mario Circuit. another pickup that I have here, and I mainly picked this up for the shmups, right? Because y'all know that I'm a shmup lover, but I'm never going to go and actually buy, this console. So I figured the best thing to do would be to get the mini, and that's the TurboGrafx 16 mini. So I went ahead and got this, mainly again because of the shmups. There's some great shmups on here that I don't think I could have got at such a cheap price. There is one shmup on here in particular that I was going to get for the Sega Saturn when I was doing some shmup collecting for the Sega Saturn, but I did see that game is on here, and it's pretty exciting. And that game is none other than Salamander. Salamander is a pretty cool shmup that I wanted to get, and I was going to get it on the Saturn. I still got my eye on that and Battle Garega. So looking for those two, but just a ton of really fun games that a lot of these I've never played because I never got my hands on a TurboGrafx 16 when I was a kid. So it's very exciting to kind of dive into some of these. A lot of these titles I'm familiar with, but then there are just a few here that I've got no clue. I do see Ease 1 and 2, so that's cool. I don't have to get that for the PSP. But yeah, so just a lot of really cool titles on this TurboGrafx 16, and I'm glad that I was able to snag that up. And then the last pickup that I have here is going to be, let's see here. So it's going to be Metroid Dread, none other than Metroid Dread. And yes, I had to go ahead and pick this up, and I got it today. This is pretty exciting. I was actually just playing Super Metroid on my Super Nintendo, not the mini. I was actually playing the actual Metroid on my regular Nintendo, so I'm actually excited to get into that as well. So Metroid Dread, yes, on the Switch, it's here. We have it. I can't wait to play it. I know many of you are already lost in this game. Many have probably already beaten it, but I'm going to sink my teeth into this week and get on it. So Metroid Dread is one that I added. And that does it for this video. I know this one was a little bit more of a long one, but there's just so much energy and emphasis around the Switch. It's so exciting. We got the Metroid, we got the OLED screen. I mean, and all of this is coming right in time for the holidays, right? So we know where everyone is going to be spending their money. The one recommendation that I would make is that if you do plan on trying to get a Switch or anything Switch related, the earlier you can order it, the better. There are a lot of supply chain issues going on right now, so you don't want to be left out in the cold, no pun intended, this winter with your Christmas gifts. All right, and that does it for me. I'm done with the jabbering and blabbering. I am the Y2K Collector, and I'm glad you were able to stop by and check me out today. All right, have a good one.